What's up, guys? It is... Actually, who is this? Never seen him before, have you? Well, actually, if you've seen my previous videos, you probably have. Yes, it's me, GD. This is what I look like without the mask on. Shocked. Why aren't you wearing the mask, GD? Well, you guys probably aren't saying that. Or maybe you are. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because if I had the mask on, I would have to take it off in order to put it on to show you how I put it on, basically. How it looks. So, that's why I have this video here right now. Basically, to show you how to put the mask together. So, basically, I'm just going to tilt these back a bit. Can you still hear me? Well, if you can't, too bad. Actually, you know what? That should work. Okay. So, basically, take one of these, regular bandana. Now, as far as, head size and all that sort of stuff, and the size of these, I've sort of experimented with a little bit. I've never tried it on other bodies, so I don't necessarily know how it's going to fit on you guys if you try it. So, if you run into any problems or any weird developments or anything, just let me know and I'll be experimenting. So, basically, you just put the first one on like this. That's probably going to be better. And you tie it at the back. I usually double knot it. Just give you guys a good look. If that's not a good look, well, I'll be looking at the video anyways just to check it out. Like I said before, I was actually told you guys I was going to try and get some better equipment before I actually did this video, but too bad, taking too long. So I figured I'm going to just do this, and if I have to, I'll make another video, but basically where I'm doing everything from the back. No audio for those, don't need it. Just like have a window there somewhere or something like that, basically showing you, what it looks like from the back or what it looks like from the side. Depends. Excuse me. Didn't need to hear that. Anyways, so that's the first one. And I'll show you that again. Basically, you have it folded in like a right triangle. Now, not all the bandanas you might run into are perfectly square. Like, I got these. I don't really know if there's different sizes, at least for the camo ones. There might be. I'll be checking the dimensions and that sort of thing. I don't have measuring tape on me right now, so I can't really check that. But really, I don't think it really matters that much. For anyone that's, trying to do something like this, it's most likely gonna have to be, you're not gonna have the perfect material that wraps around the head all the way. It just happens that the top of my head is actually fairly small, so I can easily do that with these big ones. With smaller ones, I can't do it, haven't been able to. So really that's what it is. The idea is you're actually going to have two layers. This is part of the first layer, and as you can see, it's not really sealed or anything. It's floppy, loose at the back, and has these like ear sort of things. Those are going to actually be covered up by the second bandana. And the second bandana is going to start partway at the back like this. And it's basically going to be used to cover those ears and keep that back part in place. And what's going to happen is, I'll see if I can show you from here, this loop basically that was caused by tying down the first bandana, you're going to take the end of this, going to slip it down in through there, pull it through. And for the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Slip it down and pull. So there you go. Then you basically take those two flaps there, you push down that back tongue that's created by the second bandana, and if you want, you can tuck it in behind the double knot that you made with the first bandana. Let's see if I can show that there. Let's see if I can do that. So like that, if you want. It doesn't really matter because you're going to tie this over top of the first knot. So basically like that. So now you have the first layer. Now, originally when I started doing this, the first concept that I had was, the forehead bandana, and it was biker bandana. But I don't have that forehead band, so I can't hook it up to the mask piece that's down below and over the nose. Now, I didn't originally do it with the over the nose, but I'm going to get to that in a second. But basically, what I do now is I have to have the forehead bandana there. But what I do is I actually added an extra feature to it, which you've seen before. So now I'll demonstrate it. So you take another one, and this one, you noticed the triangle was pointing to the back. Now it's going to start pointing to the forward. So we're actually reversing the direction. So this one I actually slipped down to the bottom of my hairline, which is about right there on my neck. And that's where it's going to start. So now you have these two flaps. Fold them over in front. And that basically covers the ears, which is kind of something I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to cover the sides of the face more so that I would have like protection there against like dust and wind and whatever. And just as a reminder, this isn't necessarily for like the applications for this mask. This whole setup basically is not necessarily an everyday thing. It's just there in case you need it, basically. That's what it is. Now, I used to double knot this, but I found whenever I was double knotting it, if there was too much pressure... Whoops. Did that do something? Anyways. The reason why I don't double knot it is because I had to do it just right so that it wouldn't basically be... It's kind of weird what it is. It's... Yeah, if you've ever seen those like baseball caps, like the Smarty on top, when you hit that, it makes a weird, it's a painful feeling. Well, for this, it's kind of the same when you double knot it, except that it doesn't hurt necessarily. It actually creates more of a cold spot, which almost feels like brain freeze. It's kind of weird, but it does feel uncomfortable. So I just do single knot in the front. That way I don't have this bulge or anything at the front. And I suppose if you got into a fight with the mask on, that'd be a really bad weakness if someone punched you in the forehead. Not to mention being punched in the forehead would probably hurt a lot. But I'm not suggesting you guys get into street fights now. Right. So now we have this top part of the triangle of the third bandana that's there. So that's going to be covered along with the ears, which aren't really visible, but they kind of look weird just like that. So we're going to cover them. That's what this one's for. This is number 4. And generally speaking, I give between the ears from the last bandana and the edge of the new bandana, I usually give about an inch of space between them, just so that they make sure that they overlap. Now with this, you can, I'll show you what you do. Basically, this sort of ring that you've kind of created, tying it around, basically creates like a ring. So we're going to slip this into that ring. Now, you don't have to do it, but sometimes I actually double knot the third bandana in the front just so that when I'm slipping this through, it doesn't undo it. But even if if it comes undone a little bit, you retie it. That's all you have to do. Now I usually hold the top of the bandana just so that I'm not slipping too much through, because I like to make it even. That's just me. I don't really think that it would affect the performance. I honestly don't think so. Okay. And there we go. And I usually tuck this into the top. Just snug that up. So there you go. We have these little ears at the top. We're going to cover that with the fifth one, which is the forehead bandana. But another thing you can do, because I found when I'm pulling up the mask, which is the sixth and seventh piece of the mask itself, like the mouth piece and the nose piece, sometimes this will come up and will come loose and all that sort of stuff. And just to make sure it doesn't move around, this is usually what I do. So basically I tie it, I lower my chin as much as I can, and snug it. There. So basically, and the reason I would lower my chin is basically so that it doesn't matter how much I open my mouth to talk or something like that, this isn't going to get in the way of that. You can make it a little snug, I guess, if you want, because that way, I guess, every time you open your mouth, it'll make sure that this gets pulled down, because it might come a little bit loose, because it's not really tied into anything. But the friction between these two materials should be enough, so you don't really have to worry about that. Okay. The fifth bandana, which is the final part of the forehead, basically. Or, sorry, the whole head. Besides the face. Now with this, you have a triangle piece, but I fold it twice, and I'll show you after every fold. Basically, I fold it in half, like that. And then I fold it again. And I'm probably going to upload this video right away, but it's possible I might, but either way, I'm going to make another version anyways, where the extra footage is in there so you can see sort of what's going on. But basically, that's what it is. That's the forehead bandana. I usually have it this side out. That way, that little ridge and stuff isn't really seen as much. And that way it won't come apart. So, forgive me, I've never actually tried this in a camera before. Feels weird. My left is my right is my left, my up is my up, my down is my down. And you can usually, I don't find it's a really big problem. You can snug this up as much as you want. Usually I double knot it. By the way, this knot will usually get tied above that bump that's in the back. That bump is actually from those first two bandanas that were tied. Those are the knots that are back there. The third bandana covers it. So basically the knots aren't visible, but it creates sort of like a bump in the fabric, which basically this can kind of rest on. So it doesn't really matter how much your mask and stuff pulls down on it. If it is pulling down on it, basically it's not going to come past that. That's kind of what it looks like. If you didn't see it, again, I'll be looking at the footage, so I'll know for certain if there's something missing. Okay, so yeah, that looks about right. It's a little bit uneven, but if I was doing it in a mirror, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Okay, now the face mask. Face mask is very simple. Just one of these. It's getting interesting for a second. Well, actually, just so you guys know, what I did was, like I said before, I tie this actually into the back of the bandana. But how I do that is I actually slip one part of the loop. I actually do it with this one right here. So there's this side, and then there's this side, which is this side right here. I actually slipped it underneath the band of the bandana, and then I tie it at the top. So that way it's hooked in there. And ever since I actually started tying the nose piece basically over that, I tie it to one side. Right now I'm tying it to this. Hold on a sec. Let me get my bearings. Yeah. So this side right here. That's the funny thing about cameras. This video is actually pretty long. I might have to shorten it down. Or I'll just give you the whole spiel. Who knows? Okay. And yes, it hangs down that much. It's not a real big deal though, because usually you can fit it inside your shirt or whatever. I don't find it's really that big of a deal. I suppose if you wanted to fold it up or something, you could do that. Mind you, with the movement of your mouth and stuff, I figure it's probably going to unfold anyways, unless you do some sort of bandana double wrap, but that would sort of insulate it a bit more, and so it wouldn't be able to breathe as easily. So I'm not sure if you'd really want to do something like that, but I mean, whatever, it's an option, I guess. Okay, now the final part. And as you can see, most of my face is pretty much covered now. And again, like the forehead bandana, it's the same fold basically. So it's it's gonna fold basically like this, right? And I don't think it matters really too much. I guess it's more so where you want more of the padding. But you can see this side is where the folds, you can see the folds. This side is closed basically. The closed side isn't going to have as much padding as this side. But I find, and this is my preference, I don't know if you would want to experiment with it, I find having it this way, actually with the folds down, will actually prevent them from opening up. But I have found when doing it this way, you don't have to, you have a bit more padding up around the top of the nose. So if you're wearing goggles or sunglasses or something, it's going to be more comfortable. And I suppose if you're wearing them all the time, or a lot of the time, it's going to be more beneficial. Mind you, the pressure of this sort of against the face It's not going to be a lot or anything, but it's probably going to be enough to keep the folds from coming apart. Because before, when I was doing this, I was just, putting it on, strapping it together. I wasn't too worried about up and down and up and all that. But, if you want to try it, that's okay. But anyways, I'm going to do it like this side down, like that. Yeah, that's okay. Sorry, I'm going to move this. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to tie it to the other side of the bandana. Basically, I'm going to loop it in the same way as I did before. Actually, I didn't show you that the first time, so let's see if I can. I doubt you probably saw that much there. But again, I'll be looking at the footage and I'll be editing it. Blah, so that, you can see things a little bit better and whatnot. And it's going to be different footage, but I'm going to do some footage to show you basically how it kind of hooks in there and whatnot, and, give you a better idea. And like I said, if I get better equipment later on, I may be able to do a better tutorial or something like that, So basically, that's what it is. That's the mask. Covers basically the entire face, except for the eye region and whatnot, and the back and side of the neck. But as far as the eyes, you can easily cover them with some form of protective goggles or glasses or something like that, assuming you need something like this in a work environment so that you're not getting too dusty or something like that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be camo. The only reason why I use camo bandanas is because they're bigger than most other bandanas that I find. So as far as that's concerned, they're easier to wrap around my head. So basically, that's the only reason why I'm wearing camo. I mean, it kind of looks somewhat aesthetic, but as far as I'm concerned, that's not my biggest concern. Anyways, and if you need to cover around the neck or something like that, easily some form of neck warmer, or like I use a shamog. That's not really how you're supposed to use shamogs, but I mean, who's to say you can't use a cloth as like some form of a scarf, which is basically what I do. Wrap it around the back of the neck and and just tie it around the front and at the back again. And I haven't really looked into a form of, making sure that the shamog actually stays somewhat connected to the back, so that like when it comes loose later on during the day, it doesn't like fall down and uncover the back of the neck. Not that that's really a big problem. Usually it stays there, but if I could look into something like that, that would be great. Or even if I can find an even better design than this, I'm all for it, basically. As long as it doesn't depreciate from, or not depreciate, what's the word? Well, as long as it works just as effectively and is just as comfortable. And if it's better in any one of those respects, and maybe it's not as good in another area, maybe I can live with the compromise. Or even if it's just better overall, then I'm for it, basically. But yeah, so this is what the setup looks like, and it's 7 bandanas, and the bandanas I use, it's like $1 per bandana basically, and sometimes I get a deal too, so it's $7 for a full headgear, basically, is what it is. So I mean, compared to, like, for my shamog, I paid like $14.95 basically. And I mean, there's no doubt this could be improved with some forms of machining, like finding a way of stitching it so that certain things will actually stay in certain places compared to others. Maybe some form of a netting between here and here, like between the nose piece and this, maybe making it all one unit so it can come down all at once. Like, there's many possibilities as far as this goes, but this is very simple and it does work mechanically. So this can come down and this can come down just like that, and it's easy to put back up. And if it gets loose, you either tighten the forehead bandana in the center, or you tighten the two pieces, the nose piece or the mouth piece, separately. This side, and middle. So, simple construction, cheap, and it works pretty effectively, especially if it is hot and if it's dry. If it's hot and it's dry, then it works perfectly, I find. If it's humid, it's a little bit different. I still find it more comfortable than just, open-faced. But even then, it still works. Maybe not as effectively, but it still works, and I find it works better than most things. And for the cold, it works for the cold too. And like I mentioned before, for the wind, for the dust, even for, like, if there's biting insects, like small, what are they called? Not mosquitoes. Well, actually, this will protect against some bites in areas of like with mosquitoes, more so for like around the forehead and stuff. But everywhere else, basically the entire thing would protect you against black flies, like the small biting insects and stuff that don't have like big biting mouth parts. I'm pretty sure it worked against horse flies and deer flies as well. Don't quote me on that because I can't say exactly, because I've never really been bitten by them while I had this on. So maybe they weren't around or something like that. But either way, if I'm wrong, just leave a comment, let me know. But this thing works. Like I said, again, I probably said this multiple times, but this works really well, in my opinion. If you guys try this out and you have your own opinions about it, or you have some feedback, feel free to let me know. The more I know, the better. And the more I know, the more likely I can improve on the design. Or, if it comes to a point where I actually get into, like higher end stuff, like if I actually get into machining of certain things, stitching certain things together, I might just do that. Like, this is simple, basic, and cheap, really. And as far as, what are people going to think when they see you in this? Honestly, that's not something that people should really have to worry about too much. Well, you know what? That's a completely different topic, so I'm not going to get into that with this. That's more related to fear and the byproducts thereof, which I think I mentioned in some of my videos. I'm actually going to be making a video specifically about that once I've completed my work. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it as far as the mask is concerned. Oh, and I guess disassembly. Disassembly, like I said, you can basically take the whole thing off as you are putting it together piece by piece. That's what I prefer to do. But technically speaking, if you want to, I'll show you. the whole thing can come off as one unit if you really want to. And this is basically what it is. And there you go. You can actually see on the inside the folds and whatnot. You can't see it really well right now. You'd be able to see it better if you actually did it yourself, but there you go. Full head unit. Now I wouldn't recommend taking the whole thing off like that and then trying to put it back on. Never really done that before, but I don't think it would really work that well. It'd be better if you just put the whole unit on, you know, when you need it, or before you need it, really. And if you need someone to see your face, like, you know, an officer or something like that, if they need to ask you questions, you basically just take the nose piece down and the face down like I did before. Wow, 30 minutes. I might have to cut this down, or I could do it in parts, or editing, whatnot, yada yada yada. Anyways, so I hope you guys liked the video. It's been a little while since I got the opportunity to actually make this video. I've been talking about it for quite some time, and I've been looking forward to doing it, but I kind of wanted some other equipment. But I did it without it, and I'm happy about that. So, yeah, anyways, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I assume you enjoyed it. Maybe you didn't. Anyways, so, if you guys liked the video, then, you know, just let me know. Again, thank you for watching my videos so far. I don't have a lot of views right now, but considering I have only have a few videos, I think it's pretty decent for me, the amount of views that I've gotten so far. I know you guys, you've seen me with the mask on before. You new guys probably haven't seen me without it on. So, showing you guys basically how the mask goes together, I think will go a long ways as far as getting feedback, because I haven't really gotten any feedback in my videos yet, but hopefully after this I'll start getting some feedback from people. So either way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. GD out.